Thank you so much for clicking on this video. The purpose of this channel is to educate, inspire, entertain, and hopefully make a contribution to your creativity. Welcome to Art Party Now. I'm John McLane, the artist, and today we're going to talk about color theory and how to use complementary colors to draw one of the greatest animated characters of all time, the Beast. So make sure you stick around to the end so that you can get the keys to unlock the full power and potential of your imagination. Let's start the party. All right, so as you can see, I've got the Beast all sketched out in blue pencils on 18 by 24 inch bright yellow poster board. As always, I've got my supersized Sharpie for the outlines, fine point Sharpie for the details. So if you want to draw along with me, right now would be the perfect time to get out your materials and get set up. Or if you just want to put your feet up on the couch, enjoy the party that way, that's totally cool too. So let's rock and roll. Just a heads up before we start drawing. Because the Beast is kind of a complicated character to draw, after I complete this initial Sharpie drawing, I'm going to put 3 different sizes of the drawing on the screen, so that depending on the size of your device and the size of the paper you have handy, if you really just love to color, hopefully you'll be able to trace one of those sizes right off your screen and still be able to join us for the coloring part of the party. For those of you who do want to draw the Beast freehand, let's go. We're going to start by defining the shape of the Beast's nose with some scraggly lines to indicate his fur, and then we can draw the Beast's left eye connected to the top of the nose, highlight, iris, and pupil with a big furry eyebrow on top. Then we can draw the right eyebrow also connected to the nose, and the Beast's right eye floating just below the center of it. Then we draw a line for the top of the Beast's head so we can add the shape of his horn and ear on the left side of his face. We draw a little patch of fur between the eyebrows and then the Beast's other horn and ear on the right side of his face. Next, we're going to start defining the shape of the fur pattern on his cheeks, which connects to the edges of his mouth. We draw a little smile with a wrinkle line from his nose to the edge of the smile, and make sure to have 2 big teeth coming up from his lip. Then we can start drawing the fur pattern under his right eye, a line to define the bottom edge of his lip, a furry line from his eyebrow to the corner of his mouth, and then we can add the shape of his furry goatee below the mouth. Once we've completed the Beast's pointy beard, we can add another furry line from his ear to the edge of his goatee to define his left cheek. And then we can start adding the fur pattern on his right cheek, which is really just a series of 3 furry stripes that define the areas of light and shadow for when we start coloring. After we finish the Beast's face, it's time to start working on the suit. So if you've been following along with me so far, this next part should be easy. We draw a little fold for the Beast's shirt collar, and then a big long line to define the edge of his lapel, another few folds for the left shirt collar, and then the folds in his ascot are hard to describe, so just watch my lines closely, but the overall shape is an hourglass with folds on the bottom and a button right in the middle. Once we have the Beast's ascot looking sharp, we draw 2 parallel lines straight down from the center and connect them with a W shape at the bottom. Next, we draw 2 small horizontal lines for the Beast's shoulders and connect them with 2 long vertical lines to the edges of our W shape. Then we draw 2 more lines right next to the first ones for the stripes on his lapel. little lightning bolt shape on the left and 2 round buttons on the right. Then we can draw the bow on his beastly ponytail, which is tucked right between the back of his head and the top of his right shoulder, and give a little indication of hair behind the bow. Now we can start drawing the larger shapes for the beast's left shoulder, arm, and chest. 2 lines for the stripe on top of his cuff, connect those with a U shape to his wrist, and add a wavy line below to define the ruffles on his poet cuffs. Now we can draw the beast's hand with a line on the left for his finger, a line on the right for his thumb with a nice big claw on the end, a wavy line in the center for his palm, 2 more fingertips tucked behind the first, and claws on the end of each fingertip. Now we can draw the beast's right arm with a curving line for his shoulder, another for his elbow, a few more lines to define the inside edge of his arm, a semicircle for his cuff, and then tuck his arm behind his back by finishing the edge of his jacket. Now that we're almost home, we just want to add a few simple lines to define the edge of the beast's suit pants, and make sure to add a stripe down the right side. Now we can draw the beast's left foot with a little tuft of fur for his heel, a diagonal line down to his toes. Don't forget to add claws to the end of each toe, and then another diagonal line back up to the pant cuff. We follow the exact same steps for the right foot, except we slightly change the angle of the diagonal lines to show more of the front of his toes. And the final move to complete our drawing of the beast is to draw a few furry lines behind his right leg to indicate his bushy tail. All right, and there we have it. There's our simple outline of the beast. So now I'm gonna go back and darken in the lines, add a little bit of line quality, give it some shadows and some weight. So make sure you don't go anywhere, because this is where it gets exciting. If you've joined us for any other art parties, you probably know that in this phase of our drawing, I'm doing a lot more than just darkening lines. I'm adding thickness to specific lines like the bottom edges of the beast's feet, jacket, and beard to increase the illusion of shadows and weight, which will give our simple line drawing the feeling and atmosphere of a real 3-dimensional character. So this step is essentially the difference between amateur and pro. All right, so there's our finished Sharpie outline of the beast. So if you've been drawing along with me, right now would be the perfect time to smooth out your lines, make sure everything's just how you want it, because coming up next is the most fun part of the party, where we bring the beast to life with color. You won't want to miss it. So one of the cheat codes to making sure that our drawings come out bright, vivid, colorful at the end is to always have a test sheet of paper that's the same color as the paper that you're working on, and to test out all the colors in the specific drawing. So since there's a lot of different browns that I'm going to need to use to get the result I want for the beast, I tested out a bunch of different colors of brown. I tested out different colors for the suit. There's always going to be surprises along the way, but right now I'm pretty confident that if I use the colors that I've selected, that our end result is going to be just how I want it. So let's go. In our initial phase of color, I'm using 2 different shades of medium brown to map out the fur pattern in the beast's face to make sure there's enough contrast between the main fur colors I selected. Okay, so I'm liking the way that the fur is turning out in the beast's face here, so let's keep it going.
Now that we're confident with our medium brown fur colors, we can use a lighter brown to start adding the highlights to the face and continue with those same colors for the hands, feet, and the tail.
All right, so I'm really loving how the main fur color is working out on the beast here. So now I'm gonna switch over and start filling in the colors on his suit. So let's keep the party going.
In this phase of our drawing, I'm using contour coloring to give the dark blue areas in the beast suit a three-dimensional quality, and I'm doing two separate layers with a royal blue paint pen to make sure our blue is nice and thick, because a thin layer might turn green if our bright yellow paper shows through from underneath.
All right, so now that we've got our initial layer of the shadow colors for the beast suit here, it's time to start adding the highlights. I think this bright blue might be a little bit too bright for the highlights, so I'm probably gonna have to come back and blend it in, but I'm just gonna put down a first layer and hope for the best.
Now that we've let our royal blue settle for a minute, we're going to use a sky blue paint pen to fill in the highlights along the right edge of the suit.
All right, so before we keep going, there's something really cool that I want to show you. So this is called the color wheel. And I still remember the first time I saw this on the wall in an art class back when I was like 10 years old. And I was so fascinated by it that I went home and drew one out myself, and I've had one in my studio ever since. But when you lay out the colors of the rainbow in a circle like this, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, you get the colors that mix next to each other. So you got your primary colors in a triangle, red, yellow, and blue, secondary colors in a triangle, orange, green, and purple. So red and yellow make orange, yellow and blue makes green, red and blue makes purple. You get the idea. And then the complementary colors are what end up across from each other. So if you mix blue and orange, you're gonna end up with brown. If you mix red and green, you're gonna end up with brown. If you mix purple and yellow, you're gonna end up with brown. But what I noticed later on in life is that green doesn't really look as green unless there's something red next to it. Like, did you ever notice a picture of a bright red barn in a big open green field and everything looks like so vivid and bright? That's because the red barn and the green grass are complementary colors. So green doesn't look as green unless there's red next to it, and red doesn't look as red unless there's green next to it. So how does this apply to our drawing of the beast here? Well, instead of just using, black to color in the darkest shadows, I'm using purple for the darkest darks in the suit. Because our entire background is yellow, it's gonna make just having a little bit of purple in there is gonna make the yellow look brighter. And then when I go back and fill in some of the details on the suit here and use a little bit of orange and the yellows, that's gonna make the blue in the suit pop. So when we get to that point where I'm starting to put in the orange, you'll see what I'm talking about. So let's keep it going.
Now that we have our color theory in place, we're going to add our neutral colors to the suit using a gray paint pen for the shadows on the beast's shirt, ascot, and cuffs, and a white paint pen for the highlights.
Okay, so now I'm going to start adding the orange. So watch how it makes the suit pop.
Now that we've established the theory of how to use complementary colors, what I hope you'll notice is that as we add the orange to the beast's vest, the stripes on his suit, and the shadows on the buttons, his blue suit actually starts to look bluer.
Okay, so hopefully you're able to see how introducing the orange, which is the complementary color of the blue suit, really just started to bring our character to life. So I'm gonna go back and add some finishing touch colors to the face here, and I think we're getting close to the end, so stick around.
If you've enjoyed the party so far, you are now a member of our family. So as we're finishing up these final details, rather than simply describing what color markers I'm using, I want to give you a word of encouragement. No matter what stage of life you're at, or what skill level you have as an artist, if you have a powerful vision and the determination to see it become a reality, anything and everything is possible.
All right, so I'm really loving the way the beast is looking at this stage of the process. So I think I'm just gonna do a couple more finishing touch details and then call this one complete. So make sure you stick around for the final reveal so you can see all of these details up close. Make sure to check out all your other favorite characters in our cartoon collection, and we'll see you at the next art party.
This episode of Art Party Now is brought to you by Feng Shui Energy Fine Art Prints. Click the link in the description to order yours today.
Thank you so much for joining us at the art party today. If you had fun or learned anything, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to our channel. Drop us a comment if you have any requests for future episodes, and click this link to keep the party going.